Stocks seesaw between gains and losses even as hopes emerge of a takeover of beleaguered STB in the US. Healthcare and metals managed some gains while utilities and realty drag.
Lupin goes through a US FDA Pharma co-vigilance inspection with no observations. Sun Pharma buys into an animal health business but also reports challenges due to a ransomware attack. Zydus Life and Alembic Pharma too report US FDA inspection outcomes.
Crompton Greaves Consumer Electricals announces a merger with recently acquired Butterfly Gandhimati with a swap valuation that favors the parent. The Butterfly Gandhimati stock slips.
Saurabh Srivastav, Chairman, Indian Angel Network, tells CNBC-TV18 that angel tax is a blunt instrument to curb money laundering and its imposition can impact the startup sector that is 85% foreign funded.
Hello and welcome to Halftime Report. I'm Ekta Batra and with me is Sonal Bhutra as well as Mangalam Malu. Well, it is turning out to be a session where we're pretty much shrugging off all of the concerns. So may it be any kind of domestic sentiment which is, which could have been impacted on Friday, or the banking crisis looming globally. Today it seems to be a positive start, at least for us, in terms of the Indian equities. So we have the Nifty, which is holding at around 17,000. We're off the day's high, but nothing really to write home about. So up around 77 odd points. Lot of stocks seeing buying. So there is buying across sectors. There's Reliance Industries, Sun Pharma. In fact, pharmaceuticals is having a great day, along with even healthcare, Apollo Hospitals, Hindalco from the metal space. So there is buying across sectors which is taking place at this point in time. A lot of stocks to discuss. Sun Pharma, Lupin, Dalmia Bharat, Nykaa, a whole host of stocks to talk about from the Nifty space as well as from the broader markets over the next 60 odd minutes. Hi guys.
I think the pharma stocks are waiting for you to come back from your holiday to come with so much news, and they were like, only when Ekta comes back, we'll put out all of it on exchange.
I've also noticed that, when there's some kind of surge in COVID cases, the first sector to go up is definitely pharmaceutical and healthcare, but could be defensive.
Which is great for the stock market. I just hope that this first surge does not go beyond this first surge.
Lata had a great conversation earlier on It's the Economy where, the experts did dismiss any kind of concerns as of now. They said that this is going to happen time and again. We are going to see spikes. And I did speak to a couple of diagnostic companies also off the record. He said there's no rise in testing. There's nothing to talk about when it comes to COVID testing.
Thank God for that, right? But yes, of course, as we were talking about, shrugging off the concerns for now, ITCs at the day's high again, and IT stocks too. They've made a comeback now, Mangalam.
They have made a bit of a comeback, but let's see whether this sustains or not, because every comeback so far has been prone to sell-off as well. So we'll monitor how all these things pan out. For now, the Nifty hovering comfortably around above that 17,000 mark. But, what happened on Friday was a mini budget day, or can be classified as a mini budget day because of the multiple amendments to the finance bill itself. And in that, one of them was the hike in securities transaction tax on sale of future and options by 25%. Earlier, the tax for future sale was 1,000 rupees on a turnover of 1 crore rupees. That has now been hiked to 1,250 rupees. The tax on the gain of, or rather tax on sale of options, the securities transaction tax, was close to around, 5,000 for every crore that was, transacted. And that has been increased to around 6,250 rupees. So in effect, a hike of 25% for both the sale of futures and options instrument. To discuss the impact of this hike, we have with us two people, Prakarsh Gadgadni, who is the CEO at 5 Paisa, and Chandan Taparia of Motilal Oswal joining in as well. We start with Prakarsh first. Prakarsh, for a discount brokerage like yours, what will be the impact of STT hike on your business, the industry, and your volumes in particular?
I think the impact of the increase in STT will be limited. It will be limited to the small and retail investors who come with less capital, and any change in the costs have an impact on their trading strategy or their profitability. So as far as small retail investors are concerned, yes, there will be an impact. On the large retail traders who are mostly sellers of the option, there I see a very limited impact.
Okay, Prakash, thank you for your take there. We'll come back to you, but we will get in Chandan as well in the conversation. Chandan, that's been a big hike. What are you making of this as an industry impact and on brokerages as well?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. So in the recent amendment, Finance Ministry has hiked the STT on sell on options and future by 25%. So sentiment-wise, it's negative, but this is on sell on options. So no worry about the retail people who are buying the options. But those who are trading on the high frequency trade, algos, and trade in the multiple time in the scalping, going to hit the yield significantly as transaction tax has increased by 25%. However, this is negative for immediate point of view, but I don't think that this is going to affect much for the retail and the small trader. To understand this STD, I'll just give two examples so that viewer can understand it very well. First thing we keep in mind that when we sell the options, and for sale of option, STT only charges on the premium. So let's say for an example, Nifty is trading at 17,000. If I sell 17,000, call it 100 rupees, my premium inflow will be around 5,000 rupees. So STT will be chargeable on that premium inflow. So right now, previous to this amendment, the STT cost was 2.5 rupees if I sell entire one lot of 100 rupees strike call. But now it will be 3.12 for one lot. Now for future, if I sell one lot of Nifty future, STT is 0.01%, that is 85 rupees in the entire one lot. Now after this changes, it is going to 0.015%. So that will increase from 85 to 106 rupees. So there is slight change in STT, but this is negative for the people who are high frequency trader, those who are trading in the algos and the big side, but not much negative for the people who are trading in the less capital and less amount in the market.
Okay, so the high frequency traders are the ones who are probably going to see the maximum amount of impact. Chandan, thanks very much for that. Prakash, coming to you then, the NSE board is going to be rolling back 4% transaction charges in cash equity market and the equity derivative segments with effect the 1st of April. What will the impact be of that particular move?
I think it would have been a double whammy if both STT is going up and also NSE is increasing the transaction charges. So I think NSE has rolled back because anyways there will be an impact on the volumes because of STT increase. So I think it is a bit of savior where the transaction charges are not increasing. So a good for retail investors there, but that was minuscule. That was just 4-5% of increase. But here increase. But here the 25% increase is on a higher side.
All right, so the 25% increase is a bigger worry than the boost that has come in from the NSE rolling back those things. But, Chandan, you said that HFT traders will get impacted. Just wanted to know from a macro standpoint, what proportion of the overall volumes are generated by these HFT traders? Would you have any sense?
So we have done the entire study on the derivatives market. That market is continuously growing on year-on-year or quarter-on-quarter basis. The regulatory looking to discourage much trading for the retail participants. But if you look at the entire segment, almost 40 to 45% trading is being done by the algos and the delta hedging. So their business impact is going to be hamper a lot. So I think you can understand at least 1/3 or more than that are the high frequency trader. Their yield is going to decline because of the 25% increase in STT. So that is the negative sentiment, negative effect for those guys.
Okay. All right. We take your point, Chandan, and we'll come back to you with more questions on this. Prakash, wanted to also discuss with you the weekly expiry that has been launched for mid-cap index on Wednesday. Will you see an increased volume because of that?
If you see, definitely it is going to have a positive impact. Earlier, it was only Nifty and Bank Nifty which was trading, and that contributed almost 80-90% of the exchange volume. But over the last few months, Fin Nifty has also come up with a separate expiry day, which is on Tuesday. So that has had a good positive impact on the volumes. I think the rise of mid-cap and with a separate day of expiry will definitely have an impact on the volume, but it will take some time because they're just introducing. It will take a few months, but I think it will definitely have a positive impact.
Okay, all right. Chandan, I don't know how much you would probably be able to talk about this aspect, but I'm sure you have been discussing with your industry peers as well that this particular move on the STT could actually have, the impact could be FPIs relocating to India to save tax. Is that something that people are discussing? Is that something which your peers are talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Even I believe the same talks are going on. So if I just look at the OI activities, if you remember or if you notice, in India versus SGX, the same kind of open interest remains intact. If you look at the SGX Nifty open interest, that is near to 2.5 lakh contracts. And in India, current month future contract also same. So you can understand the same kind of open interest prevails there. So definitely this will discourage to the FI contribution to the Indian trading system. One side, the government is looking more FPI to come and trade in the India, but such kind of act might discourage their interest, might discourage their activity into the Indian market.
All right, Chandan, just before we let you go, we'll ask Prakash a couple of questions as well. Prakash, just for bookkeeping, how much of your volumes come in from futures and how much of them come in from options?
For us, a majority of our volumes, almost 90% of our derivative volumes is option volume. If I look at comparative volume between future and option, so for us 90% is options, and of the options it is predominantly index options, both Nifty, Bank Nifty, and Fin Nifty.
Okay, also Prakash, the industry leaders are saying their volumes are going back to pre-COVID levels. Are you also seeing the same trend?
There is the volumes of cash market is definitely going down. If you look at, we were at almost 40,000 crore kind of a volume, almost we have reached 50,000 crore daily turnover on the cash segment, retail side, which is now down to around 22,000, which is predominantly the same level which we were at before COVID. But in derivatives, the volumes have gone up almost by 3 to 4 times. So the impact of the impact on the cash market is same as pre-COVID level, but impact on the derivative is not in pre-COVID level. It is much more than what it is.
Okay, all right, Prakash, as well as Chandan, thank you very much for joining in and speaking with us and discussing this issue. I'm sure we will be hearing more about it in the days to come. As of now, for the markets, 17,000 is holding, no real trouble coming in. Reliance is your top gainer on the Nifty, up around 2%, followed by Pharma, which is up around 1.6%. Time for a short break. But on the other side, we'll put the focus on a lot of stocks that are reacting to news this Monday morning. Stay tuned.
देश में अभी कई ऐसे नाम हैं जिनके बारे में बहुत कम लोग जानते हैं। ये हमारे देश के अनसंग हीरोज हैं, जिन्होंने साधारण परिस्थितियों में असाधारण काम किए हैं।
आइए करें उन्हें सलाम। पूनावाला FinCorp presents News 18 Rising India Real Heroes, 29th and 30th March on News 18 Network. Presented by Poonawalla FinCorp Limited, enabling dreams.
इस बार टाटा IPL जियो सिनेमा पे, किसी भी स्क्रीन पे, वो भी फ्री। चल भैया।
100% happiness with SBI Home Loans. Zero processing fee at 8.50% onwards. Apply today. Call 1800112018. Visit homeloans.sbi.
Be celebrated with the big, bold, beautiful Nissan Magnite. बारिश, धूप और धूल से आपके घर को सालों साल बचाए। ड्यूलक्स वेदरशील्ड पावर फ्लेक्स, घर का चैंपियन।
कविता, मैं अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट लिमिट तक पहुंच गया हूं यार। काश कोई ऐसा इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान होता जो मुझे एडिशनल टैक्स बेनिफिट देता।
रवि, बस इतनी सी बात, तुम एनपीएस पे क्यों नहीं इन्वेस्ट करती?
एनपीएस? इसमें इन्वेस्ट करने से क्या बेनिफिट है?
एनपीएस देता है 50,000 तक की इन्वेस्टमेंट पर एडिशनल टैक्स बेनिफिट, वो भी 1.5 लाख की लिमिट के ऊपर।
अरे वाह, अब तो मुझे भी इसमें इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए ना?
तो इंतजार किस बात का? आज ही एनपीएस ट्रस्ट की वेबसाइट पर जाओ और इन्वेस्ट करो।
पेंशन है तो टेंशन नहीं। एनपीएस इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आर सब्जेक्ट टू मार्केट रिस्क्स।
whenever I had ice cream or cold water, I would experience a sharp shooting sensation. So I just kept ignoring it. Even my hot chai was giving me the same amount of discomfort. My dentist recommended Sensodyne. So now I can be completely carefree and sip my hot cup of tea. It really works.
ICICI Lombard B-Fit कवर से सारी मेडिसिन कैशलेस मिल गई।
कैशलेस मेडिसिन झूठ की वे खाद होती है मास्टर जी।
ICICI Lombard Health Advantage Plus के साथ B-Fit कवर जो दे मेटर्निटी कवर, कैशलेस मेडिसिन जैसे फीचर्स। It's unbelievable but true.
A 100-point gain on the Nifty is what we're staring at right now, a century. So what we'll do is we'll take focus away from the markets and put focus back on pharmaceuticals, because that's the one index that has actually done extremely well all through today. The Nifty Pharmaceutical Index is up at the high point of trade, and Ekta's back with us, so maybe it's a salute to you coming back, Ekta. We spoke about this. What's powering these stocks?
Maybe it's not just a salute. It's just a lot of work on a Monday for pharmaceuticals to be reacting to multiple news pieces. I was quite surprised with the amount of news in just one weekend within the pharmaceutical space. But nonetheless, today the entire sector is gaining. It's up around 1.5%. But if you look at it, it's actually quite a patchy performance. If you look at it on a year-to-date basis, for example, the Nifty is down around 5.9%. The Nifty Pharma Index is down around 5.8%. Now, if you look at it from a 52-week high, the Nifty is down around 10% from those levels. The Nifty Pharma is corrected more from its 52-week high on an index basis. Now, if you look at specific stocks, say, for example, at Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, both of these stocks are fairly resilient. They're down 2% on a year-to-date basis. Dr. Reddy's is up 7%. And they've both corrected from their 52-week highs. Dr. Reddy's is closer towards its 52-week high. But it's a significantly weak performance for, say, another Nifty company such as Cipla, which is down over 20% from its 52-week high, and it's corrected over 15% on a year-to-date basis. Similar case with Lupin, which is up significantly today, but it's down over 15% from its 52-week high and around 10% on a year-to-date basis. Zydus has done well, which is the erstwhile Cadila. Biocon has corrected significantly. Gland has corrected significantly, around over 60% from its 52-week high. So yes, while today has been a good day, the performance has still been very patchy and very individual and stock related because of the stock triggers, which are absolutely, absolutely related to the company's particular drug being launched, or maybe the plant which is under a scanner. So it is stock specific action which really determines moves for pharmaceutical companies. Now, healthcare companies have been better off. Hospitals have been more resilient, you'd have to say. So Apollo is down 3% year to date. It's still down around 10% from its 52-week high. Fortis too has corrected. Its Max is done well. It's still corrected the least from its 52-week high. And again, diagnostic companies which are buzzing today have still seen a sharp correction from its 52-week high. So maybe that COVID impact is probably playing out on a couple of these healthcare companies. Has something really fundamentally changed on the ground? Not really.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us that perspective. So that's what's happening with the pharmaceutical and healthcare space. Moving on, Crompton has announced merger with Butterfly Gandhimathi. What does it mean for the stocks in the swap ratio as well? Surbhi standing by with the details. Surbhi.
So why Butterfly Gandhimathi is in focus is because Crompton has announced merger of Butterfly Gandhimathi with itself. Just to alert, a year ago, Crompton had already picked a controlling stake in the company. Now, this scheme is subject to regulatory approvals, but if it goes through, the shareholders of Butterfly will receive 22 shares of Crompton for every 5 shares held in the company. And post the merger, the shareholders of Butterfly will hold a 3% stake in the combined entity. Now, the indicative timeline for completion of this merger is 12 to 14 months from now. Now, why Butterfly Gandhimathi is reacting is because last year when Crompton bought the controlling stake, the value of the deal was 1892 odd crores, and the current market cap of the company is 2300 odd crores, which basically indicates that Crompton has paid 10% less for this transaction. Now, this morning, they held a conference call, and some key takeaways from there are that they've reiterated that they expect the transaction to be EPS accretive from FY24. They've also said that till now, they have realized the cost synergies of up to 18 to 20 crores. They further said that in the future, they don't expect all cost synergies to flow to the bottom line. Part of it will be reinvested in the business. They aim to grow the butterfly business at a double-digit revenue growth. They also said that the current manufacturing setup will not be able to meet the demands for the combined entity. And further, they said that getting approval from the majority of the minority shareholders of Butterfly will be key for completing this transaction.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much for that, Surbi. We need to take a short break, but Jay Thakkar will be joining in to discuss some trading strategies on the other side. Stay tuned.
स्मार्ट टेक्नोलॉजी कैसा लग रहा है बाबा? बहुत महंगा लग रहा है. कभी टीवी, कभी जूते. फ्यूचर के बारे में क्यों सोचना है? कोटक प्रोटेक्ट इंडिया 112 रुपए महीने में 5 लाख का लाइफ कवर और जब मर्जी 25 लाख तक का कवर ऐड ऑन करो. सोच के लिए है.
Kotak Protect India, a smart insurance plan for a smart generation.
Show me the sunset. You make me happy. We wanna go there. It's beautiful.
Magnite. Be celebrated with the big, bold, beautiful Nissan Magnite.
सुशासन विकास रोजगार डबल इंजन की सरकार. मोदी योगी की मेहनत से बदला आज नजारा है. खुशहाली के एक्सप्रेसवे पर बढ़ता राज हमारा है. यूपी की रफ्तार देख कर बोली दुनिया सारी. 6 वर्षों का काम दिख रहा 60 साल पर भारी. 6 वर्षों का काम दिख रहा 60 साल पर भारी. कांप रहे अपराधी डर से छटा घोर अंधियारा है. खुशहाली के एक्सप्रेसवे पर बढ़ता राज हमारा है. खुशहाली के एक्सप्रेसवे पर बढ़ता राज हमारा है.
सुशासन विकास रोजगार डबल इंजन की सरकार. 6 साल यूपी खुशहाल.
तेरी रोशनी हूं मैं. किसना
तुझे तगड़ा इंसेंटिव मिला है. क्या प्लान है?
सोच रहा हूँ गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज में इन्वेस्ट करूं.
बिल्कुल सही सोच रहे हैं आप. अब गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज में इन्वेस्ट करना आसान हो गया है.
पर कैसे?
आरबीआई रिटेल डायरेक्ट स्कीम में बिना ब्रोकर के आप इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं और आपको आपकी पूंजी पर मिलेंगे रिटर्न्स. आरबीआई पोर्टल पर जाइए, मुफ्त में अकाउंट खोलिए और अपने बैंक खाते से सीधे पैसे इन्वेस्ट कीजिए. सुरक्षित, आसान.
रिटायरमेंट के बाद मैं भी यही इन्वेस्ट करूंगा.
बहुत सही कह रहे हैं आप. आरबीआई कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए.
Welcome back. You're watching us here on Halftime Report. Perfect time to get you an update on what's taking place in the F&O space of things. The Nifty doing extremely well, up around 100 points a century at the high point of trade is what we're looking at. From the lows, we've seen a much bigger rally, over 115, 160 odd points. And the largest contributors of the rally today are two major stocks. One of them is Reliance, which is at the high point of trade, and the other one is ITC. Both of them accounting for over 80% of the gains that we're seeing on the index by virtue of having over 20% of the weight on the index as well. A big support coming in from the pharmaceutical index, and the Nifty bank flitting between red and green through today's trading session hasn't dragged the index much lower as well. So it's holding up with gains of about 0.15%, even as the other frontline indices are gaining a lot more. The Nifty low today is extremely crucial. That's because it coincides with the low that we saw last week as well, just 50 points above that 16,850 low, and today's low is 16,918. So from those low levels, we've seen a much bigger rally as well. The Nifty Bank, however, may face some sort of resistance at the 200-day moving average of 39,739, which is about 200 points from here. Were that to cross above those levels, we could see an even bigger rally. However, it is March series expiry on Wednesday. Remember, Thursday is a trading holiday, as a result of which there could be increased volatility over the next couple of trading sessions. And during expiry days and expiry weeks, we see all the option writers go ahead and write a lot of straddles. Straddle is a call and a put together at the same strike. And because that strike is 17,000, it's the fulcrum of this expiry, we continue to see a fair amount of writing at the 17,000 put, which has almost 87 lakh shares in open interest that it's added for a premium of 62 rupees, telling you that at the lower level, 16,950 is an important support. But the 17,000 call writers haven't, let go of their guard right now. 24 lakh shares still open with a premium of 134 rupees, telling you levels upwards of 17,150 could see a bit of resistance. For those who are writing both the 17,000 call and the 17,000 put, they're pocketing a premium of 200 rupees, 60 rupees of the 17,000 put and 135 rupees of the 17,000 call. They're playing for a broader range of 16,800 to 17,200 for options expiry, the monthly expiry that takes place on Wednesday.
All right, Mangalam, thank you for that. Let's get in a technical check then. Jay Thakkar of Sharekhan is joining us now on the show. Jay, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Well, it's been a surge from the lows that we've seen, a 100-point gain on the Nifty. What are the charts suggesting now?
Hi, very good afternoon to all of you. And I would say that, yes, it has been a very good recovery in today's trading session after, the kind of sell-off which we have seen in the last trading session. In fact, Nifty has managed to hold on to its support range of 16,800, 16,900 once again, and it's trading well above 17,000. In fact, the PCR data is showing some improvement in both Nifty and the Bank Nifty, wherein they have improved from 0.6, 0.67 to 0.8 now almost. And yes, that clearly indicates that the put writers have become much active now, as Mangalam rightly pointed out. And importantly for today, I would say that since Nifty has managed to surpass 17,000, the next target from here on would be 17,200. So my call on Nifty would be one can definitely go long. Intraday traders can place a stop loss below the levels of say 16,975 on the spot levels, whereas the positional traders can place it below 16,900. I think that since last two trading sessions, we have also seen the net longs on the FIs basically improved from 7.75 to now 13 and above. Despite that, market in fact corrected. But then we are seeing some short covering happening from the FIs out there, and overall markets also seems to be finding a good support at the lower end. So the trading range so far has been 17,200 to 16,900, and since it has reversed from the lower end of the range, I think that towards the expiry we would see 17,200 on the Nifty. Hence, I have a buy recommendation there. Now, two stocks wherein I think that there can be some good up move in this week. Despite it's been a truncated week, I think that Reliance, definitely one stock which you just mentioned, has taken a good support again near the levels of 2,200, and 2,200 to 2,160 is a very critical support range for Reliance. I mean, at least for the short term, till those levels are held, there's a very high probability that it again bounces back to the levels of 2,350. So my target will be 2,350 on Reliance positionally, and one can place a stop loss below 2,200. And yes, Pharma, since past couple of trading sessions, has shown some good short covering. We have seen Biocon also coming out of the ban period now. So Biocon is one stock wherein I am seeing some good short covering happening. Other names like the Pharma, or maybe Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's. But then as far as Biocon is concerned, one can place a stop loss below the levels of 199. One can go long on this and target 215 on an immediate basis.
Okay, all right. We're going to let you go on that note, Jay. Thanks very much for joining in. So Biocon is up around 3% There was an IIFL note as well, which upgraded the stock. So maybe some amount of positive momentum on account of that. We need to take a short break. On the other side, we will be speaking to the CEO at Embassy REIT and a partner at Dhruva Advisors for a chat on the REIT and InvIT space. Stay tuned.
UCO Bank welcomes the Honorable President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu, celebrating the bank's 80-year journey. UCO Bank honors your trust.
Be celebrated with the big, bold, beautiful Nissan Magnite.
पंजाब बदल रहा है, नई रफ्तार से चल रहा है। खेतों में उम्मीद उगी है, खड़ी फसल गुनगुना रही है, गीत बदलाव के गा रही है, पिंड में भांगड़ा मचल रहा है, पंजाब बदल रहा है। मुश्किल से मिलते हैं मुश्किल में साथी, यहां तो हरदम कोई खड़ा है। हर मोहल्ले का अपना क्लिनिक, फ्री में इलाज चल रहा है, पंजाब बदल रहा है। मोहाली बस स्टेडियम नहीं, स्टार्टअप का भी हब है अब। टेक्नोलॉजी के इस शहर को सबने इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए चुना है। हौसला यूथ का उबल रहा है, पंजाब बदल रहा है। आने वाले सुनहरे कल की देखो तो तैयारी। सरकारी स्कूल में अब तो शिक्षा मिलती है म्यारी। करप्शन पर जीरो टॉलरेंस, बिजली का बिल भी जीरो है। इस बदलते पंजाब में अब तो आम आदमी हीरो है। किया संकल्प के बदलेंगे, मंजिल पे जाके दम लेंगे। सोच नई, अप्रोच नई, नई रफ्तार से चल रहा है, पंजाब बदल रहा है। तरक्की का एक साल पंजाब के साथ।
Welcome back to the show. Let's put the spotlight on the amendments made in the finance bill and its tax impact on the REITs in which space as an asset class. Let me welcome on the show Vikas Khadloya of Embassy REIT and Ajay Roti of Dhruva Advisors. Gentlemen, so good to have you on CNBC-TV18. First of all, Ajay Roti, what does the amendment entail? Because the budget had proposed that a portion of the distributed income, which is in the form of debt repayment, should come under the tax net, to which the industry had represented to really soften the burden. What has happened in the amendment?
So, Nisha, firstly, the burden has been softened, and I'll tell you how that has happened. Like you rightly said, in the finance bill, the original one which was announced in February, what was proposed was that a portion of the distribution, which was in the nature of loan repayment, would get taxed in the hands of the unit holders under the full rate, which is under income from other sources.
Yes.
Effectively going all the way up to 39% in case of HNIs. Now, what is got enacted and the amendment that was tabled before the Lok Sabha and what's been enacted is that the tax will now not be on the amount distributed as loan repayment, but what is a specified amount. They've prescribed a formula for specified amounts, and I'll not get into that technicals. What effectively they've done is to say that from this amount, which would otherwise be taxable as other sources, you are now permitted to reduce whatever would be the issue price of the unit. Therefore, in short, what they have done is, insofar as the REIT is concerned, to the extent that the return of this amount represents what has been collected or it is a return of the capital that they've already raised, then there won't be a tax under other sources. So that 39% tax or the slab rate tax won't kick in on this amount to the extent that this repayment is the issue price. So I'll take an example. if somebody
so Ajay, let me break it down right now.
Sure.
So the distributed, debt repayment minus the cost of acquisition is the only amount which is taxable. Now, in my understanding, it was supposed to be up to from 30 to 39, depending on the category of the investor. It would be taxed. Does it stand there, or does the capital gains kick in there?
So it's a bit of both. So the moment you exceed that issue price, it is other sources gets taxed at 30 to 39%. But up to that price, what has also happened is there's a corresponding change that they have brought in the capital gains taxation, which means, your cost of acquisition reduces. Therefore, effectively, you end up paying tax on capital gains. So which could be as low as 10% if you have held the unit for 3 years plus. So if you acquire the unit at 100 rupees, but you've got this loan repayment of 100 rupees, you have set it off, then your cost is zero. So whatever you sell thereafter will get taxed as capital gains. So it will become taxable as capital gains eventually. So one, it has got deferred, and second, it's now taxable at a lower rate. That's the softening of the blow.
Right. So if it is coming in the category of capital gains, and as Ajay Roti has explained, that there are changes in the amendments which pertain to the cost of acquisition calculation in the capital gains component as well. So therefore, the tax burden has softened substantially. Vikas, come in on this. What is the exact impact on your investors because of this? From earlier, you had stated 40% of the devolution or distribution happens in the form of debt repayment. How are your investors now impacted?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Nisha. Good afternoon, everyone. So one, we are very pleased with the outcome. As Ajay mentioned, this is beneficial both to institutional and retail investors. Now, if I just take Embassy REITs as an example and give some numbers, if you recollect, as you rightly mentioned previously, we had stated that about 40% of our distributions each quarter comprise of the debt repayment component, which is what we're discussing today in terms of the tax impact. Now, taking up this year FY23 midpoint guidance of 21.7 rupees per unit on the distributions, as an example, about rupees 8.7 per unit was a repayment of debt component. Now, assuming an investor had invested at the issue price of 300 rupees a unit, as Ajay rightly mentioned, there would be no upfront tax implication when this 8.7 rupees is distributed as debt repayment this year. Instead, what will happen is it will go towards reducing the cost of acquisition. So, in a sense, together with the dividend component, which is also tax-free, which is about 45%, about 85% of our distributions for FY23, there would be no upfront tax. So it's a huge plus for investor. Now, if the investor were to continue to hold the unit, then the debt amortization component will not be taxed to the point in time where this exceeds the unit price. So for approximately, taking Embassy REIT as an example, for the next 25 to 30 years, there would be no tax impact on this 8.7 rupees, assuming it's constant for the next 25, 30 years, for an investor who continues to hold the unit in the Embassy REIT. So we think it's hugely positive. It reduces the tax implication for the retail investor, for all investors, in fact, and it also delays the incidence till the time the REIT unit is actually sold.
So you are saying that for the entire life cycle of the investor, till you do the maths and the calculation on cost of acquisition versus the amount that they have got, and in between spread is the only point or only amount which is going to be taxed, and that too will attract capital gains tax of 10% as applicable at the time of sale of units, and not 32 to 39% as is the taxability of the distributed income under other three categories.
Yeah, based on this example, which I mentioned, Nisha, which is the investor continues to hold, and also, the numbers which I laid out, yes, this is our understanding of the change that has been brought in.
And how have your investors reacted to this change? Are they now happy because their returns were set to get a big body blow? In fact, 2 to 3% is what I gathered from one of your big investors. 2 to 3% of the returns per year was set to be really hit for them, and now all that is unturned and has been changed back to the usual.
Yeah, so a couple of points here. Absolutely you're right. One, we're very pleased. I think the authorities have done a commendable job. REITs, as we mentioned, is a growing asset class. We think it's an imperative in every portfolio. So it does two things. One, it positively impacts the post-tax distribution yield for investors, especially in a world where we're seeing rising interest rate environment. So this impacts positively by over 100 to 150 basis points. This especially benefits the 75,000 odd retail investors invested in Embassy REIT, and I'm sure all of our peers in the industry are also equally pleased. Taking a bigger picture view, Nisha, REITs are a total return product. Which offers stable and predictable cash flows and also the long-term growth upside.
No, we all understand, Vikas, this particular asset class. But for the future, would you look at changing your, structure at all? Now, after this change, do you need to change the structure at all? In one word?
No, we don't need to change the structure. We can relook at it because what it does, it gives us a breather for 25, 30 years in terms of till the time the distributions don't exceed the cost of the unit price, the investors are not, the tax incident does not happen. So,
all right, completely out of time there, Vikas. But thank you so much, both Ajay as well as Vikas, for putting this into perspective. So hugely softened in terms of the tax amount on the debt repayment part of the distribution income for REITs and InvITs. So this particular amendment has been very, very welcome by REITs and InvITs sector. With that, completely out of time on this segment. Take a break and come back for more.
स्मार्ट टेक्नोलॉजी HD क्वालिटी
कैसा लग रहा है बाबा? बहुत महंगा लग रहा है।
सुब्बू
व्हाट सुब्बू? कभी टीवी, कभी जूते, कभी परफ्यूम। फ्यूचर के बारे में क्यों सोचना है? सोचा है पापा, आप लोगों के लिए भी। कोटक प्रोटेक्ट इंडिया 112 रुपए महीने में 5 लाख का लाइफ कवर और जब मर्जी 50 लाख तक का कवर ऐड ऑन करो। सोच के लिए है।
Kotak Protect India, a smart insurance plan for a smart generation. It's time to break free. Break away from the routine to the greens and get lost in the world within. To steer through, to stop. Start again. Go forth and just let it all go. With JK Tyre's Ranger 80 for the ones who are wild at heart. JK Tyre, total control.
कविता, मैं अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट लिमिट तक पहुंच गया हूं यार। काश कोई ऐसा इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान होता जो मुझे एडिशनल टैक्स बेनिफिट देता।
रवि, बस इतनी सी बात, तुम एनपीएस पे क्यों नहीं इन्वेस्ट करती?
एनपीएस? इसमें इन्वेस्ट करने से क्या बेनिफिट है?
एनपीएस देता है 50,000 तक की इन्वेस्टमेंट पर एडिशनल टैक्स बेनिफिट, वो भी 1.5 लाख की लिमिट के ऊपर।
अरे वाह, अब तो मुझे भी इसमें इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए ना।
तो इंतजार किस बात का? आज ही एनपीएस ट्रस्ट की वेबसाइट पर जाओ और इन्वेस्ट करो।
पेंशन है तो टेंशन नहीं। एनपीएस इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आर सब्जेक्ट टू मार्केट रिस्क्स।
This one's a turbo.
1.5? Nice.
The all-new Hyundai Verna. Futuristic, ferocious.
Welcome back. At the high point of trade for the Nifty, Reliance and ITC doing extremely well. But one of the stocks in focus is Sun Pharma, as its IT systems attack can impact the company's business operations. That's what the company is saying. Ekta, what's exactly taking place out here?
Well, this is something that the company had informed the exchanges on the 2nd of March, that there was an IT incident that had taken place with regards to Sun Pharma. They had isolated the IT assets and they said that there was no real impact on the core operations. But now they've come out with an additional update that the recent IT security incident was caused by a ransomware group, and the ransomware group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Now, the ransomware attack has resulted in, one, a breach of certain file systems, theft of certain company as well as personal data. Attack has, according to the company, impacted their business operations. It is expected to reduce the revenue in some businesses, and Sun will incur expenses for remediation as well. So this is an additional update that they have made to the exchanges with regards to the impact on the company. Now, these are completely unverified reports that they have, that the ransomware company, which has been named with regards to this particular IT incident with Sun Pharma, has been Black Cat, or LAALPHV. That's the name of the ransomware group. They've started operations in November 2021. They are known to target healthcare and public health sector companies. Sun has specifically no comment with regards to this. We did reach out to them. They do not want to comment with regards to the name. But these are unverified reports doing the rounds with regards to the name of the company. Now, however, the reason why the stock is higher is that analysts believe the FY23 guidance is intact, and that is high single-digit to low double-digit growth.
All right, Ekta, that's about Sun Pharma, but we have some breaking news coming in. There were reports earlier that Mamaearth has gone ahead, the parent of Mamaearth, Honasa, has gone ahead and withdrawn their IPO plans. This is with regards to valuation concerns, etc., and they've been put on hold. To clarify whether that's happened or not, what is the way forward for the company's listing plans? We have with us Varun Alag, who is the CEO and co-founder at Mamaearth. This is a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Varun, thank you so much for joining in. First up, on the reports that were, floating around about you having withdrawn from the IPO process, what's your comment here?
So the reports are largely baseless. We are still in the process, an IPO process. First step of that process after filing the RHP is engaging with the banks, engaging with, more importantly, the regulator, and awaiting approval on the draft prospectus that you have filed. And as we speak, we are engaging with SEBI, and SEBI is reviewing our prospectus. Right, we are hopeful that by next month we should get our approval on the prospectus. Post which, as per SEBI's process, we have 12 months to file the RHP, and after the approval comes in is when we will engage with our bankers to finalize the dates for filing RHP.
All right, so you are saying that there has been no holding back on the IPO plans. By next month, you will get the SEBI's approval on your DRHP, and then you have another 12 months to go ahead and file the IPO. But in the meanwhile, a lot has happened in the world of consumption, in the world of new age companies, etc. as well. We've seen a big decline in the valuations of some of these listed players. With the word that you've had with your initial investors, initial round of conversations that you've had with bankers, etc., has there been any word on valuations, or you've let that be until the IPO approval comes in?
Well, firstly, I would like to clarify that as a company, while we are young, we are in a market which is the beauty and personal care market that has been there for centuries and will exist for centuries in India. And we are building brands, which is again a business that has existed for hundreds of years. And we are an FMCG company which uses the new age technologies, media, and to actually build the brands in the mind of consumers. And hence, for us, what we are more concerned is how are consumers panning and how is that trend in business panning, and that has been doing exceptionally well for us. There is no deviation from what we had planned, what we had seen our markets and brands shaping up. In fact, some of the brands are shaping up far quickly and becoming far bigger than we imagined them to be. And so all is good on that front. And valuation is a conversation, right? And that would happen once we sort of start meeting investors and then start engaging on that. And I think we're still some time away from it.
Okay, Varun, hi. I just wanted a quick clarification. The initial offering, or what you all had decided or discussed, was around 400 crores and an OFS as well. So is there any change in the size of the IPO that you could be considering?
No change as we speak. Right. And when we go closer to time, and usually the process, the way it takes place is once you have done your investor conversations and certain valuation ranges are arrived, is when the sellers have some flexibility on how much OFS that they want to do. They might increase, they might reduce. But given the largest investor in the company is not selling a single share, given promoters are retaining 97% of the share, I don't see much changes happening.
Right. It's been more than 90 days since you've filed the papers. Were there any queries raised by SEBI? Because usually, approval should have come by now, right?
So Mangalam, it's a 90 to 120 day period that the regulator takes. And let's also keep in mind we filed over the New Year's, and not a lot of people are working in the week of 31st Jan and 31st December and all of that. So there is a bit of non-working vacation days which are there. And queries is a standard part of the regulator's process. And they want to make sure that enough clarification, risk assessment is being added to DRHP so that consumers can make the right decisions, and retail investors can make the right decisions. And I think they have shared their queries. We've already responded to all of the queries.
And could you give us a sense of what the nature of those queries were? I mean, what kind of queries did they have for you to have responded to all of them?
I think it'll be going into too much unnecessarily detail. And, but the queries largely are more around more around risks or business models, etc., which they wanted to understand. Please do understand they're also seeing the company's prospectus for the first time, and they want to make sure they understand it well.
Okay, so I'm sure you're in touch with your bankers, Varun, to give us a sense in terms of when you expect to hit the market, considering that your IPO plans have not changed?
Again, like I said, I think we first start focusing on getting this approval our way, and post that we want to get together with our syndicate, right, and have a conversation around what is the best timing to file RHP, and basis that we will need to then time it backwards because there is marketing for IPO, meeting investors, doing road shows, meeting analysts, etc., that will be required. Right? So in line with that, we will put a network together.
Right. Okay. Last question before we let you go from my end, Varun, is that if you just do a quick Google search, type Mamaearth valuation, the number that comes up is $3 billion. Now that you're saying that, nothing has changed so far, does that valuation number, hold any water? I think he's frozen at the right time, the perfect time, We've been talking about the valuations of Mamaearth, what it could be, and the person who could have answered that chose to freeze at the right time.
Yeah, hopefully maybe we'll try and reconnect, but there are no change.
We have him back. Varun, so I was just saying, Go ahead. Your frame froze. Yeah.
That Zoom will save me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Please go ahead.
No, so... by the way, we never shared that number as well. It was a number which was pulled out of a scoop, which was shared by someone in the media, and we never subscribed to that number. We don't support that number. And the valuation process will be fair and will be in line with how the market models the business out, models the cash flows out, and discounts it to today's period. And like I said, those conversations will take place once we hit the roadshow.
Okay, Varun, just before we let you go, you might be having conversations or you might be going for a roadshow later on, but you might be having conversations with your bankers, and everybody knows what's happened to a couple of these consumer-facing companies that have listed recently. It's been a rough ride. A couple of companies have decided not to hit the markets at this point in time simply because, it's a tough time for a couple of these new age companies. from that context, what are the feelers that you're getting from your bankers, in terms of hitting the markets with an IPO at this point? The interest that you might see.
The only thing that I would say there is that their early feedback from investors who have seen our document and our story is very, very positive. They haven't seen as much interest in terms of the number of investors who want to meet us and talk to us about our business. And that just tells us that it also depends on the company, the business, and the business performance which is going on and what you forecast and foresee over the next couple of years. And I think from all of those perspectives, we're not as worried about interest. I think there'll be significant interest when we go in.
We're running out of time, Varun, but not questions. Hope to have a longer conversation with you just around the time, perhaps, when you do get that approval from SEBI. You're saying that, you're now just awaiting clarifications and a confirmation coming in from them. You've answered all their concerns, and you've said that reports of you withdrawing the IPO are baseless as well, and that the timelines are perfectly on schedule. Wish you good luck. We will still await some word from you on the valuations here, because the street believes that if the number that was scooped out is correct, then it is extremely high. But I see you smiling and putting yourself on mute. With that, I think we'll take your time on this edition of Halftime Report. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. Business Lunch comes up next.
Brought to you